life is good and you're making lots of money and you've got capacity for something new, go look for your shiny new thing to do and your new opportunity. That's all good. But your question was around, I'm struggling, I'm not making money, I'm not doing the things I should be, I feel like I'm in a world of pain. That's when you got to do something different. So there's no question that everyone who's listening to this is clever enough to know how to do a startup or something new or whatever. No question. But my question would be, are you clever enough to stop and remove something from your world? And so I love this. So the podcast is going okay. I'm getting some speaking gigs and I want to make more money. So I want to do this startup knowing that it won't go well. My niece, because I'm not an entrepreneur, but I'm a creative type. I've got at least 4 other books lined up ready to go in my brain and in my pipeline.
I love that.
And I have thought about doing a podcast for years. And every now and then it kind of resurfaces again. And I had a business manager who worked with me for a while, and she said, "Is this a this quarter project or is it a next quarter project?" And I'd say, "Well, we're probably a bit busy this quarter. Stick it in the next quarter. We'll definitely do it next quarter." And of course, by the time the next quarter would roll around, she'd say, "Okay, should we do this podcast?" And I'd go, "Oh no, I'm over that now." And
yeah.
And she was really good at helping me figure out that I've no trouble coming up with ideas and things I can do. And, when you're a creative or entrepreneurial type, you can do that. The question is execution and the right timing. And so for me, it's like, put it off till next quarter. And then that also, I think, because our egos get in the way, by the time the next quarter rolls around, no, my ego doesn't want to do that anymore. I haven't got the energy for that anymore. And my attention is now elsewhere. And so, but if I tried to do it in that first quarter, we probably would have done a half-assed job.
Yeah, exactly. And it would have stolen time. I think that's such an important example because I think time will tell us the answers of what's important to us. So if it's still eating away at you to do a podcast in the next quarter and maybe, a year after that, then okay, there's something in this. I'm still really wanting it. But I think for all of us, there's very few things that we have that eat away at us like that. And that to me tells you the answer of where you should be putting your attention. And I guess just quickly going back to that example I was saying about the businesses, I knew that I guess I'm similar to you where it's this creative sort of thing, always wanting to, different ideas, and the business stuff were just ideas I'd get excited about, but not things I really wanted to do. And you can fall in that trap. And again, the world is trying to make us think like that by saying, do this, get rich quick, do that, take this road, take that. And it steals people's attention and leads them down the wrong path. And
it steals their joy. It
steals the joy.
And it steals their souls, right? So
it does.
I kind of think, anytime I've made decisions about money, they've usually been rubbish ones, right? Yeah. Either I've taken on a job which had more salary and it ended up being a pretty rubbish job, or I've gone for a gig, and because it's paid more, and then it ends up being so. Sometimes high-paid jobs are great, and but when it's just if money is just the decision, I find that's let me down. And maybe I'm lucky because I'm nearly 60. I've had a lot of years to think about this sort of stuff, but I often think that if that's the primary driver is just money, then I think that's worth exploring, right? Because you say, exactly. You're like, what's the stuff? You don't want joy killers. One of my friends, Tracy Ezard, she talks about joy bubbles and how do we create more joy bubbles in our world. And so if you're doing a podcast or me doing a podcast is going to be a joy bubble, then absolutely do it. But not because I think it might make me truck tons of money, right? No. If it as I'm sure people who are listening will know, probably, I don't know for sure, but I feel like my most successful endeavors are the ones that filled me with joy and nourished my soul. Yep. And that's Absolutely. Not just to say do what you love and the money will come. It's kind of slightly different, but it is, when I'm doing my thing that I'm meant to be on the planet to do, it just seems to flow.
Exactly. And yeah, it's not to say that, okay, but I know the thing I love doing, but I need to make money, of course. Then at those times, you're going to need to maybe do part-time work or do something that you might not love or whatever it is, but not in the bigger picture. I think if you do stay true to yourself, that pays off bigger dividends, even on the financial side. But more importantly in, giving you that joy and like letting you, like we're talking about, enjoy the process and actually get something out of life, not be waiting for life to begin.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I first started out on my own, I had about 3 months where I didn't make much money. And so I took a job as a receptionist in a construction company that I think was a mafia front, just quietly, because there was lots of blokes getting around in black suits and they were all talking about like they were wise guys, right? And I
Oh
did
my
that for
God.
about 3 weeks because I just needed to get the feeling of money coming in both directions rather than just going
Yeah.
out. I wanted to feel some money coming in. I've sometimes taken a contract over the years where I just needed to feel like as I said, the flow was going back and forth just when things have gotten a bit tight. So this is not to say I'm not. We always have a joke in Australia where we say, look, if I had to, I'll go and pack shelves at Woolies. And
Yeah.
so I'm always ready to go and pack shelves at Woolies, whatever that means, if I have to keep the wolves from the door. And I still don't let the big numbers drive everything that I'm doing.
Mm, I
Yeah.
love that.